Whoa. Wow. 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 Sequoia National Park.
All right. You okay? Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Notier's Frontiers Diaries.
In this episode, we have so much ground to cover. It's incredible. We do it really quickly. We go from California all the way out
To Utah.
Yeah, where we are now.
Yeah, we did Cali, and it brings you into Nevada, then a small little section of Arizona, and then into Utah, all in one day.
It started off with a little bit of a blunder because we had originally wanted to go to Yosemite National Park. We were over in Monterey, California. We had just done Highway 1, which was beautiful.
1/101, which was absolutely fantastic.
From there, thought, okay, it'll be really easy to just go over to Yosemite, which I had heard great things about. But
but traveling nowadays is different than 5 years ago, or in like foreign countries and stuff.
We're used to something a little different.
Well, we're just used to meandering without making any plans, and so we wanted just to go to Yosemite, and apparently you need to make like reservations and
to drive through, not just to camp.
And we heard about some of that during the pandemic, like there's a couple different national parks there's to ride through. You need passes, day passes, but so we kind of shot ourselves in the foot.
Right, because we just didn't have the day pass in time.
Yeah.
So we decided, well, the next best thing would be under Yosemite, there is Sequoias National Park.
Yeah. So we took a ride. It was a lovely little ride to Sequoia National Park that we had logged into our GPS from the last time we were there. Through California, which I thought would be this mountainous, kind of green landscape, and I know they're going through a tough drought, and so I'm not trying to add salt to injury, but
it was very flat and dry and just pure desert out there. I don't know if it's because of the drought or the time of year, but it was unexpected, but still and a bit hot on that particular day to ride through. So I think that was part of the problem.
we were anxious to get to the Sequoia National Park.
Yes, and eventually I could see the mountains kind of looming in the distance, and I was like, ooh, I want some respite from this horrible heat. And I couldn't wait to get into the mountains, and they did not disappoint.
No. like 5 years ago, we had stayed in the sequoias.
Yeah.
I wrote about it intimately in my book, Two Up and Overloaded, where...
because something terrible happened.
Yeah. It was called Leaves of Three. I don't even know what poison oak looks like, but I know what the after effects look like.
Yeah.
And,
on a certain region
a nether
of your
region.
body.
Yeah. Franks and beans. It was awful. But even as awful as that experience was,
the campsite there was pretty awesome.
The campsite was very nice.
So we are on our way to one of the original No Tears Frontiers campsites from 5 years ago. This time around we were supposed to go to Yosemite, but being the poor planners that we are, we thought that the states were just one big happy open awesomeness, and now we realize that you have to register. Yeah, but a good backup plan is this very fine road that I don't remember any of, but I know it gets fun, and then there's a beautiful campsite up here with a little river by it. Well, then there's a little single lane bridge, I remember, and then it goes to like off-road, which was like you have to pick a track. There's like, you know, ruts and stuff and rocks, and that was some of our first like encounters. Well, whatever, not first encounters, but I remember it being like, oh no, Marissa's probably not happy at the moment.
I wasn't actually. I really did not like that road. So we'll see what my opinion is.
Alright, we'll check back in.
Forever years ago, the road seemed a little bit more hazardous and rough than it was in actuality now.
Here's the little one-lane bridge.
Yeah.
Is there water in the creek? Hey, there's water in the creek. Yeah, this looks a little bit newer.
Yeah, it sure does.
And this is where maybe they graded everything, but I remember this being a little bit choppy last time.
Yeah, it was perfect. I mean, last time we'd been on that road, it had been kind of one of the first times that we were going on gravel roads, for me anyway.
Yeah, I remember this being like a really bad road, and it was either a really bad road or I was really bad at off-roading. So I don't know which improved, the road or me.
Yeah, well, maybe both.
Maybe.
Surely you.
But it turned out that, yeah, it turned out just fine. It was beautiful, and there wasn't any... there was one part that got a little rocky, but
yeah.
I could see how I had been scared in the beginning. But the whole ride there, it's like 20 or 30 minutes down this road that goes through a gorge, and it's beautiful just the whole way.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
I will say that it's about 10-15 degrees cooler than it was lower on.
Which is good.
Oh yeah. And here's home away from home. Yeah, I think we were camped. I'm gonna pull into where we camped.
I remember all these bear warnings.
Yeah, the bear boxes.
Yeah.
So after we rolled up to, you know, the little entrance of the campground, there's nobody there whatsoever, just like the last time we were there.
Yeah.
But, we pulled up to the exact campsite that we stayed at, with the Russian River going below.
This is our old campsite. Isn't it beautiful? really glad we got out of the heat of that kind of flat desert area. We're up in the mountains, and it's exactly like how we left it. There's no one else here. It's just us. It's just us in nature. I love it.
Bears.
Stop! I don't like that. I do get scared of the bears. But we better get used to it since we are going to be going to Alaska. So if we're scared of bears now, then we might have problems later on. I got to get over my bear fear.
And it was just, I don't know.
It was awesome.
You just get these good feelings. And I knew that there was like the Ladybug Trail or something that we hiked to last time to go to the sequoias. And so we were kind of in a rush to get to Yellowstone overall for our little Temple of Moto guide that we're doing. Yes. But so we weren't going to stay there for a bunch of days like we had last time. So if we were going to hike, it was going to be that evening. And so we tried to set up the tent and kick it into high gear.
Watch out.
We used to have a hand pump the last time we were here. That was actually pretty awful after liters and liters and liters of pumping. So now we have a gravity fed one. And I always try to get, you know, the more running water, not the stagnant stuff, because that's where like the foamy crap stays. Now we can just go back up to base camp and unclick this, and the water will filter through, go down into our other MSR bag. Endless water! Yay! Yay!
And we headed off to do this hike that we had done 5 years ago into the gorge. It kind of follows the river up. Nice. The trail for a long time goes through what I call kind of like a magical forest area.
Yeah.
This part of the forest. I remember it being very magical, this section with the big rocks and the moss.
Remember we went through like this, you know, crazy wicked forest looking thing, and I think
this is it.
I think this is the entrance to the awesome, amazing forest of coolness.
There's the wicked forest.
Yes, the wicked forest.
Slash magical, slash princess bride, you know.
Yes.
Rodents of unusual sizes with fire pits coming up. And,
yes, very true.
But yeah, it's real cool.
And then after the magical forest, you have there are these beautiful fields, and this is where the trail stopped being very well maintained. In fact, I don't think it's maintained anymore at all. And you're just walking through all of these tall grasses.
Yeah,
there's
a
gorgeous.
trail. It's beautiful.
Yes.
You know, and there was a trail, there was a path. We weren't forging our own adventure.
Right.
There was definitely somewhere to go. But yeah, it's this long swaying grasses on these hillsides with, you know, like little bald mountain tops, you know, in the distance.
Visually, it just looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
But those grasses have these really spiky seeds that just stick in your
They're just little
pants and they
spears.
stick in your shoes, and it's painful.
It's crazy. They're like grasshopper, what a joust, you know? They're just these little spears that I could only assume that if grasshoppers made a civilization, that would be their weaponry. You know? And they just stab you in the foot. And it's just, I wore socks just because...
Yeah, not to get like a blister with
Not
your
to get
sandals.
a blister. But all that did was like Velcro for the stuff just to jab in and then stay. All right? You okay?
Yeah.
It's like the purple flower from the Dark Knight, from Batman.
Oh yes, it gives you like eternal power or something.
No, it scarecrows people. That's yes.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I shall put it in my hair. We made it to the home of the giant sequoias. Unfortunately, a lot of them have been burnt. There's a lot of fallen trees, but still there are quite a lot that have survived.
Big backpack.
Oh. Hello. Hey, you're pretty cool. It's huge.
The sun was kind of setting, and there was this other cool little path that went forward following the river. And so we decided, as far as timeline goes, we should follow that. And it led to a new magical memory.
With a beautiful waterfall, and
Yeah.
you could see the giant sequoias on the other side of the river. We made it to the end of our journey. Here we have a waterfall. I'm sure it has a name, but I don't know the name. And then behind it is a giant sequoia. Sequoias are the larger family of trees that redwoods are in. But these were not redwoods. Redwoods are known to be the tallest trees on Earth, and sequoias are known to be the widest, girthiest, or I guess you could say like the most volume trees on Earth.
But they're not the ones that like, are they we didn't see any of them, but are they the ones that you can like drive your car through? Do they get that big? Are those sequoias?
Well, redwoods are a subset of the sequoia family.
Okay.
So I think it's the redwoods where they have the tunnels through. I'm not sure on this though. But either way, they're very big trees.
They are large and impressive. And
they
shoot up into the sky like the little spears that were jamming into my socks. We didn't get all the way where we had last time.
Yeah, which was like a big sequoia grove.
Yeah.
But
I
it was
felt
still nice.
Equally awesome with this little waterfall going down these little rocks.
Look at the views.
Where we were going was like all this beautifully colored rock and stone that the path had turned into, and then kind of dead-ended at this magical vista. And there's like little shrubberies that almost look bonsai-esque, and it was just the colors and the water and the sounds, and and then the apex of this huge tree.
Yeah.
It was everything that I wanted it to be.
A stunning end to our hike in Sequoia National Park. Unfortunately, some of the forest there had been burned in previous years, but it was reassuring to see that some of the trees were so large that they were able to survive the fire. And you could see all their green leaves coming out, and there were lots of other trees that were growing in their place as well. So overall, it was a gorgeous, gorgeous hike.
So we had a very relaxing night listening to the river.
Yeah.
And we were in our own little Zen moment, but
it was everything we wanted, and it turned out to be a beautiful blunder. Like that whole error of not being able to go to Yosemite, and we were able to turn it into this natural, beautiful place, and there was no one else there, and it was kind of perfect for us.
But then Zen turned into sin.
Yes. Good morning.
Hi, love.
It's tea time, you say, right?
Coffee.
Well, we had a very nice night last night in this beautiful spot. It was super peaceful. Last time I was here, I was really concerned about being eaten by bears because there's all these signs all over the place that talk about, you know, protecting yourself from bears and storing your food and things like that. But we did not get eaten by bears.
The only thing we were
yet.
attacked by were mosquitoes.
Yeah, and you did not get poison oak yet. But yeah, we were attacked by a lot of mosquitoes, so that's okay. We were fine in our tent, and I slept really well. How did you sleep, Tim?
I slept very well.
Now we're gonna have some tea and coffee, and then pack up and head to
Vegas,
Las
baby.
Vegas.
I really wanted to go through Las Vegas for no good reason at all. Righteous and the wicked over here. We go from this to city of sin and lights.
Hey everyone, so this episode we are going to be splitting into two.
Dun, dun, dun.
And the reason why is because we figured we needed to do a whole episode just on the Las Vegas day in and of itself. I mean, it's just sacrilege to compare
Sinful.
it to, yeah, it's not right to put it with the Sequoia National Park,
Yes,
you know?
this is true. One
they need to be
is
separated.
Little Angels, and the other one is definitely Las Vegas Center.
And going to Las Vegas isn't even the craziest thing we do that day. So stay tuned for the next episode, and I hope you liked this one. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below so that you can get notifications for all of our next episodes, and we'll be seeing you next time.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.